The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle, where you can access your full potential right now. Finally break free from destructive habits. That dream life, if you want it, you can have it. This is where you transform your health, mind, business, and relationships. Or do nothing and keep your life the way it is. But if you're ready for change, you're in the right place. This is where you're gonna learn how to live a habit-based lifestyle. You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewing. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast. I am your host, Jesse Ewing, and today we're going to be talking about the habit of playing politics. Now, today is November 10th, 2020, and at this point, the election's passed, or at least election day has passed, and over this last weekend, Joe Biden was projected as the next president. And I say projected, not elected. And why do I say that? Because many states have projected him. The media has projected him as the winner. And just over the last, week or 5 days since this has happened, I think it's been 7 days actually, but we've come to find out there has been several instances of voter fraud, misconduct by Democratic-run states. And one of the things that I find fascinating is just how much, how much misconduct, fraud, and other things that have been happening and being brought to light in our country, not just by the election, but several instances, just in the last 4 years, but really the last year, things have really started to shine a light on fraud, misconduct by career politicians. And I'm not going to say on one side or the other. I'm just going to say as a general idea, the idea of general politics in general, how much corruption, how much fraud there is. It's almost like an entire mafia by itself, a mafia of, I can remember watching, mafia movies back in, the 90s and back in the early 2000s. You watch The Sopranos, and, these are like the New York mafia, the New Jersey, the Vegas mafia, all these things. But to watch this worldwide American mafia that is way above even that, it makes those things look very small. But today I really wanted to talk about politics in the election. And for me, prior to 2016, I never really cared much about politics. I would say, in fact, most of the time when people talked about politics, I didn't really, even get into it. I didn't really care. But as I've watched, I can think back to 2007, 2008. I started my business in 2007. And, Obama became president in 2008. We had the mortgage crisis, and it didn't really affect my business, but I also don't think it affected my business because I didn't pay attention to the news. I didn't pay attention to the media or a lot of those things. You would just kind of catch people, saying how affected their business was and things like that. And so I look at, 2016 the same. As we watch, Trump get elected, and the media and the Democrats, the left, going completely crazy the last 4 years, blaming him, voter fraud, all these things, trying to impeach him, and at the same time, now they're getting caught, basically with the exact same thing they accused him of doing. Now, what I'm going to state is, over this last year, I've watched the coronavirus being thrown at him, Black Lives Matter being thrown into him. But what I've really came to realize is politics is a crazy game. If you think about this, they're literally throwing a firestorm at our president between impeachment, coronavirus, Black Lives Matter, Antifa rioting, all these things. This guy's like literally juggling, 5, 6 things happening at once on top of, world leaders coming after him, China, all these other things. But it's amazing to watch someone, if you understand business. I don't really understand politics outside of just, it's just looks like a big web of lies that people are trapped in and they can't get out of it. And so they just go deeper and deeper into a bigger lie and get caught up in this web. But I'm watching this guy who's a businessman, whether you like him or not, he's literally juggling all these things at one time. And what surprises me is how well versed you have to be in so many different things just to be able to be the president. But up until this year, and I would even say 2016, I never really played politics. I never voted, and I never really studied them up until the last, 3, 4 years or any other things. And I even started studying like the banking system and how, the central bank isn't really a bank. The Federal Reserve doesn't have a reserve. It just prints money whenever it runs out. And I never really gave a shit about it. But something inside of 2020 has awakened me and brought several things to light. What I find, fascinating is oftentimes the things that the media projects at, one man is actually what's happening in the other side. And, I don't think our president is a perfect man. I don't think any man is that outside of one. But I do think that, one side continues to talk about how evil, Trump is. And, you have all these people that are, hey, he's a fascist, he's this, he's that. And yet at the same time, they're doing many of the same things that these people are projecting. And I find it odd that so many people have put their hope in a man who's had 47 years in politics to change the world, and never really did much of anything. I find it odd that so many people are asking for, we need change in the world. We need change, yet they're going back to someone who's already been in politics for 47 years. And so I'm confused on the change that we actually need in the world, because so many people are relying on someone who has been in politics probably longer than just about anyone in our country currently in politics. And somehow they think that is going to change them. I find it odd that people actually think the president of the United States will change their life. I find it odd that that so many people say that the president will change, their current situation. And here's what we come to find out. No president, it doesn't matter what side you're on, will save you or save me. See, the one thing that we seek more than other inside of politics is change. The change that you and I seek from a president is actually the change that we seek inside of ourselves. And yet we are unwilling to do that. And what I really am watching is people basically say, hey, we need change, but instead of changing myself, I'm going to pick a president that is going to help me change my thoughts, my patterns, and my beliefs into getting me to actually do something different. And so it's kind of this effect of almost like a motivational change, that when they pick the president I want, then I will begin the process of change. And until then, I'm just going to sit back and watch. And this is many of the things. It's like we're seeing like, hey, we're not going to have a vaccine until the president comes or the new president is elected. And, that means that, we're not going to be safe from anything until that point. And so what I find interesting is it's almost like we're waiting for the president to be elected before we decide to move forward. We're waiting for a new president to be elected before we decide to change. We're waiting for a new president to be elected before, we have this vaccine, which I find, we have to have a vaccine for a virus that has a 99.86% survival rate. But the biggest thing that I've seen inside of 2020 is the darkness that's more prevalent than ever. It's being put right in front of our face. It's, being broadcast more than ever. And people still actually believe that, it's coming from, President Trump, or it's coming from the Republicans. But this season has really brought on a sense of change where people have to radically alter, themselves, and really look at themselves, whether it be in their business or their marriage. And, as I've watched these politics happen, it's really a reflection of our beliefs, our insecurities, our willingness to change, because at the end of the day, I don't know if there's ever been a president that's truly impacted you as an individual outside of, yes, maybe, some tax reasons or different things like that. But I haven't seen a president have a direct impact on my income. Now, I could end up blaming one side or the other and saying, well, the reason why I'm not successful is because of this president or this politician. But ultimately, we are in charge of our own success. And what I find fascinating is politics are almost the scapegoat to blame our success or blame our lifestyle or blame our result. Because of this president, my life is not working, or my change is not working, or because of this president, I can't do these things. And I find it fascinating how many people are living in this state. And so playing politics has really taught me that a lot of people are playing the victim and using that as an excuse to keep them from actually accomplishing what they actually want in their life, what they actually want in their business, and what they actually want in their marriage, and even in their health. Like, people are getting more exposed than ever. And what I really truly believe in and is this time is people are going to rise or people are going to fall. And they're either going to use the president as the reason to blame why they haven't been able to do the things that they wanted to do, or they will use that as motivation to eventually do the things that they want to do. But ultimately, we can either use that as our reason, or we can use that as the results that we ultimately want in our life. And this season is going to bring about change regardless if it's a change you're choosing or if it's a change that is being forced on you. Either way, we are the only ones responsible for the change that we ultimately want to make in our world. No matter who's president, we are the president of our own state. So I want to thank you guys for being on here today. If you're looking to connect further with a group of like-minded people, join myself and so many others in the Habit-Based Lifestyle Secrets group on Facebook, where we'll be dropping daily habits to help you live to your full potential. You want to be one of our next case studies and begin living that habit-based lifestyle? You can reach out to me with questions, comments, or concerns, jesse@habitbasedlifestyle.com. Until next episode, have a great day.
The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse.